and welcome to this week's episode of Powerful Stuff. Powerful Stuff is a weekly podcast hosted by yours truly, Meredith Baker, an executive leadership coach, yogi, musician, community builder, whose goal is really to help you connect to your inner self, your inner confidence, your self-trust, and your outer world, fostering deeper connection, creating meaningful experiences with friends, all while not taking yourself too seriously, And so if you're just tuning in for today's episode, it's going to be all about how to release control when we feel like we have expectation around something or we're trying to control something. So if you are looking to add a little bit more relaxation and trust and inner confidence around something, this episode is for you. So today I am recording this 3 days ahead of leaving for my third Burning Man. If you've never been to Burning Man, it's this beautiful festival in the Nevada desert that happens every year where we basically recreate a 70,000 person city. It's all very magical and mystical portals of manifestation, where there's so many different activations and gifting. You're not allowed to, barter for money or prices of things on the playa, but everything is gifted. And your kind of my goal during Burning Man is to really, see where each day takes me, because each camp has different offerings. Each moment has different, magical meanings to it. And so I was thinking a lot about what this topic today would be. And this is also, in some other ways, which I'll go into, a topic that a lot of my coaching clients have brought up to me this week, which is this idea of surrendering control. And so when we are trying to control situations, we can notice that we're doing it because, and it can feel really constricting, right? It's like we feel like we have to have something go a certain way, or, it's not going to be what we expected and it's going to be terrible. Or it just feels really like painful and difficult to kind of leave it up to possibility, to let things go not as they were planned. And I noticed myself kind of getting into this vibe this week, because at Burning Man, one of the worst things that you can do is not surrender control. Because when we try to hold on to control at Burning Man, we end up getting taught like huge internal lessons, and it kind of sucks the fun and the magic away from like going for the flow, trusting that everything is happening for me. What I love about things like Burning Man, right, or ceremonies or weekend trips is like these lessons that feel so pronounced in the moment are kind of like little micro musings of larger life philosophies. And one of mine at Burning Man is always like surrendering control. And when I have expectation or when I am seeking something, it never goes the way that I want it to. And then you end up like thinking about or wasting all your present moment energy on hoping it goes a certain way, try to control the conditions as such so it goes a certain way, and then being disappointed in the gap between the way you thought it was going to go and the way that it's going, rather than being like, okay, this is my intention. I'd like it to go this way. I'll put my intention out to the degree which I can, to the degree that is within my control, right? Which is really just my perspective and attitude. And then I release control to the rest. And I trust that if something else happens differently, or if there's a different outcome to the situation, that it was meant to happen this way. So this episode, guys, is really just a reminder to myself to surrender control at Burning Man, but also can apply to you in your own situations. Like I'll give some examples now of how, my coaching clients brought it up, and then we'll go into like kind of deeper examples so we can really paint that illustrative picture, why it happens and what you can do about it. So golly me. Yeah. With clients, a few clients this week have talked about different elements of control, especially when it comes to, for example, dating. Like I need like dating to go a certain way. On the first date, I'm wondering, is this guy going to text me back? What about the second date? Is he marriage material? And I totally feel this because this is how I was before Spencer, right? And it's hard not to be when we're doing something like dating, which is so vulnerable, which we want to have fun, but we also want to find a life partner. And that's that delicate balance of like, I'm having fun. I'm, here enjoying your company. And it'll also be okay if you're not here. And it's like playing it cool, but really meaning that, really meaning like I do really fucking enjoy my life. And it's cool that you're here, but I'll also be okay if you leave. I'll be okay if you don't. And being as clear as possible with those intentions. And I was talking to some clients about like how it feels not fun to date or not, and also constraining, and maybe even like potentially sometimes can like scare or push the other people away because when we are dating, we have such a deep desire for like our inner self to be safe and our inner self to be loved and our inner self to be valued that we can try to control it because it's coming from such a good place, right? Of like mama bear or papa bear energy of wanting to protect our inner child. But what ends up happening is we end up creating the situation that we say we want to avoid, right? Which is loneliness and disappointment because we are putting so much pressure on the situation that it breaks or snaps or like pushes the other person away. And so that's kind of how control can show up there. In other examples, control can show up when, you've probably been on a road trip with friends, or maybe it was your own wedding or your own birthday, and you wanted things to go a certain way, and you wanted these certain people to connect, and you wanted people to be having a good time. And you're so focused on trying to control every element of like, are those people connecting? Okay, this is the time for this thing to happen at this experience, that you don't enjoy it that much, and you are like at your birthday or at your wedding, the guest of honor. So if you're not enjoying it, people sense that anxiety, and it ends up like leaving less space for magic, less space for allowance. So I am all for creating a flow and an arc to an experience, which I've talked about in past episodes. And yes, and it's also trusting, like, I'm going to set the intention and release expectation. I'm going to set the intention and be okay if we need to pivot. I'm going to set the intention, and I'd like for these like people to connect, but if they meet and they don't vibe, that's okay. Maybe this person was meant to meet this other person. Or if we don't do, this activity at this time, maybe we were meant to linger in this other amazing environment that has been set. And we can notice ourselves again trying to control these types of experiences because we are so wanting to give like our inner child like an amazing time, let them know that they are enough, the experience that they planned is enough. Maybe we feel like we really need a vacation, and if the vacation doesn't go this way, then we're not able to relax. But that's really just like our overactive mind not being able to shut off and wanting so badly for us to like recharge that we end up not recharging. So again, it's kind of like that paradox of like getting the thing that you say you don't want, like in the dating or in the recharging. And I noticed this so much in my wedding, which I did so much work on before, during, and after, which you guys can go back and look at my wedding episode if you want to hear more. But it's like me wanting little Meredith, who's dreamt of her wedding since she was like 6 years old, to have such an amazing day. And so it's like me wanting all of those details to be perfect. And when I was fixating on them, it was making me not present. It was making me stressed. It was making me not present with my guests. And people can sense that. And so I continued to have to check myself when it was happening and being like, where am I holding control? Or as my old executive coach, Victoria, would say, where am I holding a contraction? And breathe into that. What am I trying to control? Okay, I'm trying to control this. I guess we're kind of diving into the examples already, but we'll circle back to it. But this is just a little taster of or not the examples, but rather the steps, if you will. But where am I trying to control this thing? Okay, notice that I'm trying to control it. Why am I trying to control it? I'm trying to control it because I want everybody to have a good time, right? Acknowledging those positive intentions. What do I fear will happen if I lessen my grip around this? I fear that people won't have fun. I fear that this person won't text me back. If they don't know that I really want them to text me back, I fear that and then you keep asking yourself, and then what? And then what? I fear that I'll end up alone. I fear that blank. I fear that like shit will hit the fan. I fear that like everyone will leave and never want to come to my event again, whatever it might be. And then you guys know I love a deepest fear, deepest possibility. What is the possibility if I release control? Well, it allows me to exercise trust. It allows me to exercise faith. I could actually enjoy myself because I'm not worrying about if this will happen. If I release control with the dating, it might actually allow me to just learn this person's story. It might allow me to have fun. It might allow me to open myself up to rejection with this person. But then because I've opened myself up to the possibility of rejection, which I don't believe in rejection, by the way, it's just a redirection. But it might then allow me to go take that big swing with that other person who I thought was out of my league. But because I'm not afraid of rejection, I do it. And then they think that confidence is sexy. And then we end up together and then we have a family together, So it's like, it's kind of showing that like, I'm not attached to the outcome of this, but I know that overall net, it's happening for me, even if this specific example looks like it's not happening the way that I don't want it to happen. And what that message does is it sends such a message of like, powerful self-worth, right? It sends a message of, I trust myself to exist in uncertainty. I trust myself to not need to force a black or white situation because I can exist in the gray area. I trust that even as I exist in the gray area, if things don't go as planned, I trust my own magic, my own energy, my own ability to flow with it, to improvise in the present moment, to make this moment amazing. I trust myself to be able to make whatever is happening happen for me, because that's how fucking powerful I am. And I don't bend down to the circumstances around me, but I rather ask myself, how can these happen for me? And I release my grip. And when we release our grip, we call all of that energy back to ourselves, right? And this kind of goes hand in hand with what I was talking last week about anxiety. Is we're anxious when we feel like we can't control a situation. And so we're like, ducks floating on the water, like kicking our feet so furiously under the water, trying to control it. So, gosh, guys, why was I thinking about this week? Well, I told you kind of my some of my coaching examples, right? Of whether it's dating or planning a trip or trying to control the outcome of, if you go for a job promotion or apply for a different job and that particular job doesn't work out, and you feel like, oh, well, I guess I'll never get anything else or whatever it might be. Because again, it's showing like I can either only exist in black or white. And so I was thinking about it this week because I noticed myself starting to not only think about the themes of Burning Man in my past, like in past Burning Mans, when I try to control things, like if I was trying to seek things out or like, at Burning Man, there's so much going on all the time and everything's so transient that it's like the number one rule is like, don't have expectations. Don't go seeking things. If you seek things, you won't find it actually. So it's not like what you seek isn't seeking you, but it's like set the intention for like, oh, I would love to see Turkish Breakfast Club. For example, there are good friends who throw Turkish Breakfast Club on the playa at Burning Man, and they do events in LA. But, like last year, or the last time Spencer, my husband, and I went to Burning Man, it was sunrise and we're like, oh, we would love to find Turkish Breakfast Club on the playa. And it was a beautiful sunrise and people were dancing and we were having a good time with people. And we set out on our bikes to find Turkish Breakfast Club by the trash fence, which it's like Burning Man is huge. It's miles and miles long. And this is a micro example, guys, but we couldn't find them and we kept biking around and the sun was rising and it was getting hotter. And we kind of left fun for fun, which is another rule at Burning Man. Don't leave fun for fun, like linger, squeeze all the fun of where you're at. Don't be wondering if there's something even more fun going on. Like you'll know when it's time to leave if it's not feeling in flow anymore, but don't leave seeking something else. And so we biked around and we were both and it was our last day at Burning Man and we were both like, where's Turkish Breakfast Club? Maybe they're over here. Maybe they're over here. We weren't really dropping into the places that we were going. We're like, oh, actually this place is fun. Let's just stay here. Because we were on such a mission to find Turkish Breakfast Club that morning, which we then never did. And we could have just been like really dropping in, dancing at sunrise, stopping at one of the other places that we were going, but we were trying to control the situation of like, oh, it'd be so fun to sit down and enjoy Turkish Breakfast Club with them. Whereas how to reverse engineer that, so you don't control the situation, right? Because and I was trying to control it because I'm like, this is my last morning at Burning Man. I need to have an amazing experience, because sometimes, people have such amazing experiences at Burning Man, and this can go for anything else, any other big event, right? Where they're like telling you about their experience, and you're like, I need to also have had an amazing morning, because you'll come back to your camp and everyone will be chatting and people will be like, I had the most incredible night. This, and this, and this happened. And then I've sometimes in the past felt myself having journey comparison. If my night wasn't that amazing, or I was searching for Turkish Breakfast Club the whole night and I didn't find it. And also letting it be okay if someone had a great night and that night wasn't it for me, but I might have learned a lesson, which that day I certainly did. Anyways, guys, we're getting off point, but what I'm saying is that if I had just been okay, how do I want to feel at Turkish Breakfast Club? Okay, I want to feel connected. I want to feel like I'm having a slow, deep moment with a few people. I want to feel like I'm just laughing and sitting and learning other people's stories, right? Because those are some of the elements of what you get at Turkish Breakfast Club. So I could set that intention. It'd be great if that was Turkish Breakfast Club to fulfill that intention, but I'm fine fulfilling that intention a different way. So if I had set that intention, and maybe Spencer and I poked our head to find them, and when we realized we weren't, we could be okay, well, where else can we slow down, enjoy other people's stories? We could have done it anywhere. We could have stopped to get coffee somewhere and sat down with people. We could have stayed at sunrise and danced with people to have that connective moment, and trusting that we could find those feelings in other ways. And it didn't have to be through this specific thing, right? If we don't find it through this thing, we're not going to have it at all, because that's just setting ourselves up for disappointment. And even if you do find that that thing, but you're so attached to exactly how it'll go, chances are your brain will still find little things to nitpick, because it's never about the thing. It's always about reminding our inner self that we're safe to enjoy this thing. We're safe to not have it go exactly how we expected. In fact, we will be just fine if it doesn't, and we deserve that. So I was kind of thinking back to these lessons of my past Burning Man when I was prepping for this Burning Man. And I was noticing myself oh, we need to leave at a certain time Wednesday morning because I want to get to the playa by this time. So then I can have 4 hours to bike around before sunset on Wednesday, because we're going for a short amount of time this week. And I realized myself catching myself doing that. And I was okay, well, it's just Burning Man. We're so lucky. We're so grateful. We're so blessed to be able to take off a few days and go do something like this, in this, playground made for adults. Although there are children there too, wearing their cute little ear protective muffs and biking around with their parents. Super cute when you see kids on the playa. Anyways, but I recognized myself doing it. And I was okay, let me just acknowledge why I'm doing it. Okay. And this is where we'll kind of go into those steps of control. Why am I doing this thing? Okay, I'm doing it because I have been working hard and I do want to relax and let loose at Burning Man. We have put a lot of time into prep. I do want to maximize my time on the playa. Okay, so I've acknowledged, why am I doing it? What do I fear will happen if it doesn't go this way? I fear that it will we'll get there late Wednesday night and I'll feel annoyed that I don't have time on the playa. I fear that then I won't have enough time to sink into the playa. I fear that then I'll be why did we even come if we didn't get to sink in? Obviously, these are extreme examples, but it's just letting that inner voice of you speak, even if they're being a little dramatic, but we still love them. And then it's okay, well, what do I lose if I hold on to this control? So if I hold on to this control, what do I lose? Well, I lose presence on Tuesday and Wednesday when we're driving to Mammoth and then in Burning Man. I lose enjoyment of Tuesday and Wednesday of that journey. And I potentially create not a good energy for my group if I'm really trying to control it and everyone's being a little bit more chill about it. Right? I create anxiety entering into the burn with my friends that really at the end of the day, I'm going to Burning Man to be with the friends in my camp and to have a good time with them. And so to not force or pressure them into being on my schedule, but to be we'll get there when we get there. We're there with each other. We're in the RV with each other. It's Wednesday and we're not on a work day and we get to chill and laugh. How fun is that? And And if we don't get there at the time we were meant to, then we've already actually loosened ourselves up like for enjoyment, right? We've already released an expectation, and maybe that's helping me sink into Burning Man even faster, actually. Like, and I don't even have to be there to do it, by like, okay, we get in when we get in, and then I get in and I'm even more chill and more relaxed and more ready to like enjoy all the magic it has in store for me. So like, you kind of, acknowledge what you're controlling and why you're controlling it. What is the fear that you happen if you release control? What is the cost if you don't release control, right? It's your peace. It's anxiety. It might even be costing you a little bit of strain with certain friendships, because then you're, being the person that's like, we all need to do it this way or else, versus like the person who's like, you know what, if we're in traffic, at least we're together. Like, let's dance to Taylor Swift or Dua Lipa or whatever, which I might do anyways. Like, bringing Taylor Swift to Burning Man. Wow. Match made in heaven. Am I right? Probably one of the only people that would say that. Probably, yeah, in Burning Man, probably I'm 0.1% of the Taylor Swift fans. Who knows though? I'm sure there's a Taylor Swift activation on the playa. Anything is possible. The Burning Man has something for everybody. And then, what is the cost if I hold on to it? But then what might I gain if I don't hold on to it? If I release control, if I'm like, you know what, we'll get there when we get there. Yeah, I can enjoy the journey with friends. I can loosen up. I can feel even more relaxed and more surrendered to releasing expectation once I enter Burning Man. I can really be present with the journey. I can notice the magic around me before we enter the playa. So I'm like even taking that, magic of the playa, like outside of the playa, and reminding myself it's within me actually. And the playa is just a physical representation of that. And my friends are even more uplifted because I'm uplifted, and it deepens our bond, which is the intention of why I'm going to Burning Man, right? To deepen my bond and have a novel experience with new deep friends that I love. So I kind of went through this experience myself, and I was like, oh, this is fine then. It's okay for me to, of course, vocalize my intention, right? Like, hey, it'd be great if we all woke up a little early on Wednesday so we could maximize time on the playa. It's totally fine to vocalize your intention. And in fact, I encourage it because, other people aren't mind readers, and they might be like, thanks for saying that. Like, that's totally cool with me. And so I'm all for vocalizing our intention. Don't get me wrong. And once we do so, releasing it, right? You put it out there, you release it. And if it doesn't go that way, that's okay. You've said your piece, and now you can relax. People know where you stand, and now you can relax. And, like at your wedding, for example, the other examples I used, it's okay if you say the intention of, I'd love for, you all to meet each other. You all are from different parts of my world. My hope is that you leave here with like a new friend from a different part of my world, because I would love for you all to meet. And it's okay if you say the intention or create a canvas for that to happen, but then release it if, your high school friends stay with your high school friends and your college friends stay with your college friends. You've put it out there, you've made that intention clear, and then it's now up to like the free will of everyone else. And same with dating, right? Like, it's with the intention, like you can enjoy the other person, be really present. And you can also say your intention of like, yeah, this was super fun. I'd love to see you again. And if they don't bite or they don't take you up on that, then you can surrender and be like, okay, well, I put my intention out there. I can release, like, they're where they're at, and that's totally cool. And then you can be in peace about it. And the beauty of all of this is, again, like, usually when we have a tight grip on control, and I know I say this every episode and it's so fucking funny because it's so fucking true. It's like our inner child just needs to be reminded, like, you are good. Like, I've got you. I'll love you even if it doesn't go the way you expect. I will have a great time no matter what, and sometimes, especially if we think back to like how we were raised, maybe we had really anal parents, or parents who were really controlling, because we took that anxiety to mean like, oh my gosh, if things don't go a certain way, it's not going to be okay. And, they were doing the best they could with what they had. And then we can look at them with compassion of like, they just wanted to have the best experience for me. Of course, like, they were doing it in a way that, now we see isn't productive, but I love them and forgive them for that. Same as I love and forgive myself for like wanting to control the situation. And all we need is to remind ourselves of other times that we've, released control and it's worked out better than we could imagine, right? When we surrender control and it works out better than we could imagine. And I'll give you another Burning Man anecdote for this. So once I was like set on spending the evening having a fun adventure night with my friend Morgan at Burning Man, the first Burning Man I went to in 2019. And we set out on our bikes in the evening to have a fun night. And then we got separated in a dust storm and I couldn't see her. And when the dust is so strong that like you literally can't see like your hand in front of you. And when the dust settled, she was gone. And I could have tried to look around for her and I could have tried to, bike around like the whole playa, like looking for her, being like, but we were going to have this night together. Now what am I going to do? But it was a moment of like, okay, well, my intention with her was like to have fun and bop around camps and meet new people. I can do that on my own. Like I miss her and I wish that we, weren't separated in the dust storm, but I'm going to do this anyways. And I stumbled upon a camp and met these Dutch guys and pulled their tarot cards and we became friends. And I was like, if you ever need a place in LA to stay, hit me up. And a few days later, when they were done with Burning Man, they're like, we need a place in LA to stay. So we took them to Barry's boot camp and we had like rooftop drinks at my friend's house. And they're like, can we invite our other Dutch friend? And I was like, sure. And they invited their friend Adu. And then I became friends with Adu and he became one of my best guy friends. And he came to my wedding and I even ran into him the second Burning Man that I was at. And he like took a Polaroid photo of Spencer and I on the deep playa. And it was, yeah. And Adu since also met other friends of mine and he's become good friends with them. I've had my birthday party at Adu's house before. And it was all because I like surrendered control when I thought my night was going to go a certain way with my friend Morgan. It didn't. And I still was like, what was my intention with Morgan? I'm going to do that anyways. And I met these guys who then led me to my good friend who then it's like rippled into so much. So all of that's to say, it's like reminding ourselves of these examples when we've released control and it's going better than we could imagine. And it's gone better than we could imagine. Okay, guys, so let's break it down into steps. And I know we've kind of done like the steps spoken, but let's just talk about it again. And then we'll do a little medi, of course. So, and this one will be a little bit, somatic, breathing into where that control is. And like I said, my old executive coach, Victoria, calls it like contraction or expansion, contraction, when we're feeling like, oh, I need to like control this, or I feel really tight in my chest. And expansion being like the exhale of like, you know what? I'm good. I've got me. Like it's all happening. I'm in my trust. I'm in my faith. I'm in my power. When I'm in my power, that means like, I know I can create and generate feelings regardless of my external environment, because that's how fucking powerful I am. Powerful stuff. Okay. So step one is to let that control speak. What do you want to control? Why do you feel like you want to control it? Right. And just having compassion for it. Like you're talking to your inner child and they're like, I want to control it because of this is okay. Anything else? Anything else? So what do you want to control? Why do you want to control it? The second part is, what is the, like deepest fear that will happen in your mind if it doesn't go the way you expect? What is the deepest fear that will happen? And again, taking it to rock bottom. And then what? And then what? And then what? And then what is the cost if you do try to control it? What is it costing you mentally? What might it cost your relationships? What is it costing you in the present moment? What are unforeseen ways that it's costing you, right? Like with me, with like my Burning Man, getting there super early on Wednesday example, it's like it could cost me enjoyment of Burning Man. I could then arrive to Burning Man stressed. I could then feel like I contributed to like not great energy with like, the friends that I'm riding with. I could then not fully be able to enjoy like the short time I do have at Burning Man because I spent so much time stressing about what time I'm getting in. I could miss the magic of like being in Mammoth or on the road or having an interesting creative download because I'm so like clocking the time with each minute that goes by. And then after that, after you acknowledge the cost, what is the possibility if you release control? Well, the possibility is that I could have a really deep meaningful conversation with a friend on the way to Burning Man because I'm not focused on it. The possibilities I could sink even more deeply into that experience there because I have already released control of when I'm getting there. The possibility is maybe I feel even more relaxed and recharged because of that, which then when I come back from Burning Man leads to X, think outside of the box of all the ripple effects of those possibilities. And then remind yourself of a time that you have released control and it's gone even better than you could imagine. And if there's multiple times that come to mind, remind yourself of those. Like, what are a few times? And maybe try to get them in different areas of life, right? Maybe what are some times in dating where you've released control? Like maybe you went on a date with someone and you really wanted them to be your partner, but then they ended up being like a good friend or introducing you to someone else who became a friend. Or maybe you did go on a date with them and dated them and broke up and wrote the best breakup song ever because of it. Like, when I think of releasing control and it going better than I could imagine, I think of my ex-boyfriend who I dated my senior year of college, and I thought he was the love of my life. And we traveled to Africa and all around Europe together. And he cheated on me and it was devastating at the time. But then it led me to writing my songs that I ended up traveling Europe with. It led me to meeting his other ex-girlfriend who I wrote and released my song Alchemy with, which I had her on the podcast too, Sarah DeWarren, who I've run the Dublin Marathon with, who she gave me my first animal spirit deck. So I'm like, oh my God, releasing control of like him needing to be my person. Like I thank him every day for all the people he's introduced me to, like one of my best friends, Sarah, a few women who went to school with him who've joined my upgrade program. So just thinking of all these examples where like you released control and it happened even better, which helps reinforce the belief of like this or something greater. If not this, it means something greater is around the corner, or me being able to relax into this shows my inner self, so shows the universe that I can exist in these times of uncertainty, still hold my intention, still hold my own energy, still do what I need to do to process my energy, and still trust that things are working out. And it's okay to have like, I'm all about allowing ourselves to express an emotion. If we need to have a moment of disappointment, get it out on paper, cry it out for a second, but then let it pass through you and do what you need to do, bash it out, scream into a pillow, but then return to like trust after that. So yeah, the last step that I just mentioned, TLDR, is how can I release or what examples do I have of times I've released control and it's worked out better than I can imagine? And of course, the last step, you guys know me, I love to end with an action step. So it's like, what can you do right now to release that control? What can you do right now? Maybe it's vocalizing your intention to the group if you had an intention around the weekend and then releasing it. Maybe it's, processing your own emotion, getting it out there so you can feel more relaxed. And again, like I said earlier in the podcast, releasing control doesn't mean not vocalizing your intention. It means putting your intention out there and then releasing it, like opening your hands, like letting it go. Okay, we're going to end with a little meditation on that note. So just taking a deep breath, open mouth exhale, really sighing it out. Ha, like you're releasing the control of your jaw, of your muscles. Another breath in. Exhale, letting it go. And then third and deepest breath in. And exhale, release. And just noticing this thing in your life that you've been holding on to control for. Noticing where it is in your body. Noticing the constriction around it and just breathing into that tightness. Like your breath is a massage, a pair of massage hands, kneading it out. Even if it feels uncomfortable, reminding yourself that you're safe to breathe into it. And with each breath, imagining each breath loosening that knot. Allowing yourself to exist in that discomfort or that gray area. Allowing that knot to mellow out. And as it mellows out, as you loosen your grip, you see your inner child there just scared, trying to control this thing for you because they want the best for you or they think it matters so deeply to you. And just sitting them on your lap and asking them why they're trying to control this thing. Asking them, what do they fear will happen? If they release control, why do they feel like they have to control it? And just listening with so much love, no judgment. And then asking them, what do they need from you to trust you? To release this grip. What do they need from you? What do they need to be reminded of or acknowledged for? Letting them know that you can do that. Letting them know that you love them no matter what, no matter the outcome. And then getting them excited, telling them of all the possibilities that could happen when they release this grip. And reminding them of a time or two before where they've released control and it's been okay. It's worked out. Maybe even the deepest fear happened and it still was okay because they released control. You didn't hold on. Feeling them start to soften, bringing them heart to heart, giving them a hug, feeling your inner child relax. And then both of you walk to a beautiful mirror in this space, and you just get to see your future, all-knowing, confident self move through the situation with so much ease. With things actually not necessarily going the way you expected. And seeing yourself in this place of confidence, just total ease, total trust, even as things don't go exactly as you expect. Just walking through the scene of having this faith of it's all still happening for me. And getting to see yourself in that uncertainty, in this vision, and how you still hold yourself with so much confidence and grace. Noticing how that elevates the scene, how that creates a positive ripple effect, an upward spiral. Noticing how that empowers you in other areas of your life and empowers those around you, deepens those connections. And then asking that future version of yourself for a piece of wisdom to take with you as you loosen your grip. They turn and look at you in the mirror and they give you this wisdom. Thanking them, putting your hand to the mirror on one side, touching your future self, putting your other hand toward your inner child, all three of you taking a deep breath in and exhaling it out. Imagine total expansion, total release, total flow in that place of your body where you're holding on, where you're feeling constricted. Another one. And exhale, releasing. And then a third and deepest. And exhale, just feeling all three of you, your past, your present, your future self, completely release and relax, knowing that you are perfect and safe. I love to leave you with one of my favorite songs that's like a chant. You can find it on Spotify. It's not mine. I forget who the artist is, but the title is I Release Control. And it's this beautiful song. And it's like, I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. And she just sings it over and over again for 7 minutes. So whenever I find myself holding on to control, sometimes that's a beautiful song to return to. So go ahead and write down whatever came up with your inner child, with your future self. And remember that when you're holding on to control, it's totally fine. It's just that some version of you wants to give you the best experience possible. And isn't that so sweet? And all you need to do is remind them that you're actually already whole, perfect, and complete. And that by releasing your grip of control, that's an elite move. And that it's showing you you're even stronger than you know, because you're okay to release control and exist in this gray area. And how amazing is that? Which then allows more space for surprise and delight and magic to come in, because you're not so set on something having to go a certain way. Let me know what you are releasing control on this week. And I had to tell you guys one last little Burning Man example of when something is released and it turns out even better. So when Spencer and I met, and I think I told you guys this, but after our second amazing date, he left for the Renegade Burn in 2021, which is like the informal burn, the year that the official Burning Man wasn't put on. And I was so, initially, like, I didn't have a claim on him. We weren't dating yet. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to go to Burning Man and he's going to meet some girl on Molly and they're going to fall in love. And I'm never going to hear from him again, and like my initial instinct was going to be like, don't hook up with anyone at Burning Man, please. Or to even go to Burning Man myself after our second date and like try to be there with him, which might've been too much or freaked him out. But I was like, you know what? No, if it's meant to be, what's meant for me won't miss me, which is another important truth to come to as we think about releasing control. What's meant for me won't miss me. And I was just like, have fun at Burning Man. Maybe I'll talk to you when you get back. Of course, on his way back from Burning Man, he texted me and he was like, hey, I'd love to hang out with you on my way back or go to Joshua Tree. And of course that started, this whole love saga that led to us getting married. But I found out 8 months later that, I asked him, hey, did you actually meet somebody at Burning Man? Just curious, like, obviously we're already like together in a committed relationship at this point, like 8 months later. And he's like, yeah, I actually did meet a girl and we hooked up on Molly and yeah, we spent like 3 days together, but then I kind of realized like, this isn't my person. And I kept thinking about you and I left Burning Man and texted you. And so it was just such a funny reminder of like, I released control. The deepest fear, right, did come true. He did meet a girl at Burning Man, but it still ended up okay and better than I could imagine. And maybe he needed that last hurrah before he met his now wife, who he's like, monogamous and committed to. And so it was such a great reminder to me, like, we can release control. Our deepest fear still might happen. And with trust, it'll still turn out exactly how it's meant to, because what's meant for us won't miss us. All of that's to say, guys, let me know what you're releasing control of this week. And as always, if you want to go a little deeper on this and you've been loving powerful stuff and you want some extra one-on-one attention, I have that special 3-month one-on-one coaching program that I'm doing right now. I have a few people signed up. I'm so excited, as I'm concurrently running my group coaching program with 8 amazing women. So you can email me at dmeredithbaker.com. I'll send you a link for a discovery call. Otherwise, I will see you next week for powerful stuff. And if you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe it, or send it to a friend who needs to release a little control this week and let the magic flow in. Okay, guys, I will see you next week for more powerful stuff. Woo! Hey, you. Thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me. I hope it was as powerful for you as it was for me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe to Powerful Stuff so I can keep bringing you the goods. We can keep going on this transformative journey together. And if there's powerful stuff that you want to share with me, with the Powerful Stuff community, tag us on Instagram at That's Powerful Stuff or The Meredith Baker. And I look forward to seeing you next week for more powerful stuff.